coming back to the report, another thing that was really interesting was your relationship with Dr. Jane Hanley, and you seem to have quite a tight relationship with this doctor. So maybe you can talk about her. But when I read the report, she talked in very good detail about paternal depression, suicidal ideation, PTSD, and parental obsessive compulsive disorder. So I'd heard of compulsive disorder, but I didn't realize it was parental. But tell us about Dr. Jane Hanley first, because you obviously worked very closely with her.
Yeah. Met Jane in 2011, 12, and basically when I was running the groups and I was telling her all this stuff, I said, look, Jane, she was a lecturer in Swansea at the time, and she said, how do you know all this information? I said, well, the fathers are telling me. I think how that came about, Nick, the story happened, how I actually set the group up, and I am mentioning it. I was working in a secure unit at that time as well. And it's a good point where you just mentioned what fathers witness, is how we process it as well. So I give an example. I could work in a unit, witness horrific things. The same person might not process it the same way as well. That's the thing with, PTSD as well. That's another thing I bring up. But going back to Jane, I think I was in a gym one day. I always started the group. Sorry, Nick. I was in a group. I was put on medication, counselling, all that stuff. 8 weeks into my recovery, I go to the gym and I said to this guy, I said, can I bother weights? And he said, yeah, I got to go to NHS Prams. And I said to him, I'm working in a hospital in Cardiff. What's NHS Prams? He said, oh, my wife's got post-depression. I said, no way. My wife had post-depression too. No way. Side by side, had a conversation. I told him more things in 5 minutes than I haven't told anyone before, my best friends. I came out there feeling great. And that's how the group was born, really, because I didn't realise at the time NHS Prams was actually set up after Gail James witnessed what my wife went through, and she was a CPN nurse. So a lot of good things have come out of something bad, unfortunately. Yeah. But going back, I shared my story in the group. We had counsellors, proper safeguarding. And then Brian told his story, other fathers. And it was just like, gosh, it was only support fathers with their wives, but it was incredible. And I learned so much. So Jane, I was telling Jane about this stuff. And she said, how do you know all this stuff? And I said, well, they're telling me in the group, So we started writing it down, obviously confidentiality, giving the permission or using different names. And then we collected all this evidence then, and we backed up with the research as well. And then we started doing articles like the Nursing Times, BGM, and written a book. First one was on, obviously, my memoir. And then I did an academic book called Fathers and Perinatal Mental Health, which is one of the first ever around perinatal mental health. So coming from a background, leaving school, no qualification, 15, an academic book, and speaking with professors and doctors and stuff. Yeah. It's like imposter syndrome, Nick, I'll be honest, at time. But, I'm engrossed in a specialised area in mental health. I will never know everything about mental health, but I specialise in the area about fathers and mothers, obviously. But, I specialise in that area. So every day I'm getting evidence research sent to me now as well. So, so it's worked well because I tell us, Jane writes it down, she references it, and then we work together on. And we got another book coming out now at the end of beginning of next year, both for parents really as well.
Oh, really? What's it going to be called? Does it have a title?
Not yet. It's with Jessica Kingsley Publishers. This one. The last one's with Rollage, and I did I published. Oh, I got in the background the film poster.
Well, I'm just about to say, talk about your film, yeah, because obviously you're not only a Valley's boy, but you're also about to become well, what are you? You're not in it because I've seen the cast.
No, yeah, I'm a producer. Well, she's an amazing lady. Yeah,
tell everybody about Daddy Blues.
Yeah, so the book, I wanted something, something for the mums or dads to read when, and I wanted something positive come out of it. I didn't want it all, so when they read the book, they're thinking, gosh, I feel like that, or because as a new dad, especially during that time, I thought I was the only one going through it, Nick. I honestly thought I was expecting it's overwhelming in love, and I was overthinking everything, so I wanted something, when they read the book, they think, gosh, I can relate to that. I'm not the only one. so that was published in 2018 by Trigger Press. And then the book's actually been translated in China and Korean at the moment as well.
Amazing.
And then Dr. Pavanda, she's a doctor, amazing lady. She said, Mark, let's do a film. So, it's going to be on Amazon Prime. Hopefully, it's been a bit of delay because of COVID. And it's on Daddy Blues IMDb or something. It's on. So, and when you watch the film, it's exactly like the book. It's like you're watching a film with the actors, and then it's little things, education things coming into the film as well at the same time.
Well, I will definitely be sharing the link. Yeah. And just something else that grabbed me in the report, which was extremely poignant, actually, was how you filtered the report with people's words. Yeah. And I mean, just as an example, I didn't seek help initially, even when I knew something was wrong. And this led to me making a number of attempts on my own life. When you read the tempered words through your actual study, it really brought it home to me that these are real people with just such bad either depression or mental health, or in this case suicidal thoughts, and I think your report it made your report feel very very honest and human, rather than just another medical journal that I mean, to be honest, I don't read many medical journals, not as a tech recruiter, I don't, that's for sure, but just you know what I mean, it just felt very human. And I read as it intersected with these stories. I mean, how do people open up to you like that to tell you these kinds of things? Is it just you and your personality?
I think a lot of it was, communication skills from sales. I think those transferred easy enough. Open-ended questions, pausing. The screening. I asked them about the dad, but are you drinking more since the baby's been born? Because they often say to me, "Oh, I'm fine." I don't know, are you really fine? I know they're not fine because the mum has phoned me, so we have a conversation. I say, are you drinking more since the baby's born? They say, well, I normally drink more, Mark, but I am drinking more. And I say, can I ask you why you're drinking more? Well, my mind's racing, Mark. I can't concentrate at the moment. It's affecting me. And now we go down a path, and they're talking about their behaviours, and they start to associate it to anxiety, because a lot of fathers still today say, oh, no, I'm fine, I'm anxious. It's fine. And it's, Nick, over the years, I've had to break confidentiality with some of the fathers. I've actually made a plan to take their lives as well. But, and in one part of England, I had news only recently that the mum had incredible support, but unfortunately the father took his life through suicide as well. A good friend of mine who's with the campaign as well now, Helen Birch, and she don't mind me sharing this. She had wonderful support, but her husband or partner took his life through suicide when she was pregnant because he didn't get that support. And this has had an impact on her child.
Well, I suppose it also impacts the children more then, doesn't it? Not just at birth, but I suppose it carries on in their lives that a parent took their own lives.
Exactly, and that's the thing. We can cut adverse childhood experiences. So if a father is drinking or using drugs or angry, all this stuff going on, and he is suffering with depression or obviously that has an impact on the child growing up, the development. So we can actually lower adverse childhood experiences. We can keep more families together as well. So there's a good video. I will always tell people, have a look. It's a good 4-minute video, and it's called the Still Face Experiment on Dads. It's on YouTube. I always share it to the parents as well as the health professionals, because that just sums my work up. Is if you look after the dad for his mental health, the child's development, obviously, it has far better outcomes. Otherwise, we're going to have another thing. So it interlinks with loads of things. Happens on fathers, fathers going in the court system. They can't see their children because they presented as a bad dad, but really he was struggling. It manifests in loads of areas. So that's what my work's all about: early prevention. Get in the antenatal period, educate fathers. They can suffer as well. so they can get that support early on as well.
Share that with me, Mark, because when people start asking, I can share that link out with them as well. Yeah, so share that with me later. Yeah, and I think it's interesting, isn't it? You know, coming back to our childhoods. I mean, I'm a 60s child. You know, actually I'm 60 now, but I was a 60s child, and my father was a man's man in South Wales, basically. I don't ever remember him telling me he loved me. I don't ever remember him kind of, supporting me in any kind of way. But I do remember he was in a lot of pain in his head. And, just from that period of working in the mines underground and everything else. And, and I moved to Scotland in the 70s, and I saw a lot of that here as well. Very hard culture up here in Scotland when I moved from South Wales. So I like one hard culture for another. I mean, is there I suppose, with the new young dads that are coming through now, and I've got young children, and one day they'll be parents hopefully. But do you think it's a better time, even though there's still a lot of problems? Obviously, it must be a better era to be a future father, from the point of view of there's much more acknowledgement of there's a problem. There's much more information. There's more guys like you that can help these young dads. Is that a case, do you think?
I think maternity services is a massive shift, to be honest with you. You only got to look at recruitment in men in maternity services, it's really low. But I think it's a good point where you just said, my grandfather was a typical traditional father, go to work, come home, food on the table, my father was a bit of a mixed traditional dad, modern day dad, did the ironing. My mother went to work, the miners' strike, I remember being 11 years of age, or 10 years of age, miners' strike, and seeing that have an impact on my father, and obviously food parcels, all sorts of things. So it has an impact growing up as well. And I think, but when I look at myself, I had no choice because my wife was unwell in bed. I was doing that skin to skin without even knowing. Yeah. So when Michelle was in bed, I was actually having a good bond attachment, and I didn't know about this stuff until years later. So my bond attachment grew. I think what's happening is in the UK, especially in some areas, I won't go too much into some tribes or some cultures. The role of father, sometimes you've got 2 or 3 different fathers, because there's a chance that father could be his life could be taken, and the support is not there for him. But I think because we are expected as fathers now, being in labour wards, only last 40 years, dad's got to be at home, we've got to change a nappy. I think we haven't put the education and the support and give the fathers the confidence to do that as well. So it's about that education really for the fathers. And like you said, dad's been at work all day, comes home, and then mum's had the practice, and then the mum would say, "Oh, you're too slow. Give me the nappy." Something as simple as that could actually stop the father being engaged. And then, but the most important we can encourage is, dad's skin baby massage, get him really involved, because the first 1,001 critical days in a baby's life is such an important part. Or that's when all the transmitters and everything, and the brain develops more. In some countries, it's up to 5 years, but it's 1,000 critical days. It's such an important time.
Incredible. In the report, the role of social media, and I read negative comments forced dads to question whether they were a good dad or not. Yeah, and you look at social media, and I mean, it's a blessing in some senses. It's probably been a blessing for many people to be communicating through it through lockdown. But equally, we've seen the tragic aspect of social media and the bullying and the horrific abuse that happens on there, and our children being targeted and stuff like that. But I mean, what about social media and its role? Because this is a big paragraph inside the document. What is the positives, but what are the negatives of social media?
Yeah, I think luckily for me, social media wasn't there when I was a new dad. So, I was just, that's one thing I think. But the positives, so this is the thing sometimes, you got a dad up a road, Mr. Thomas up a road is going on holidays, and Mr. Jones in the same street is using food banks. And now he's questioning, am I good enough to be a dad? You've seen all these images, the perfection. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. I'm still making mistakes now today, you know. My son's going for adolescence, 16. So, but it's actually, as long as we can acknowledge them and I say, look, have a conversation, like I do. He understands, you know, we have those conversations. But going back to social media, is the positives as well. The education, there's Twitter out there, you know, there's a lot of good positives out of the social media world as well. And I think there's a lot of closed groups, conversations are happening. I think we can get the evidence and, you know, videos out there quicker now than. So, yeah, there's a lot of positives as well, unfortunately. There's still, you know, that but that's in every area. You know, you're always going to have some people who's not as educated. And I wasn't educated about mental health 16 years ago. I was one, oh, come on, let's just get on with it. What's all this about? Like, and until you go through that stage in life, it makes you question everything.
Yeah, and I suppose coming back to social media, you know, I mean, I've got two girls, well, grown-up girls living at the house just now, and you know, their lives are built around social media, and I hear them talking about the good sides, but I hear them talking about, you know, the abuse and everything else that comes through there. And I think there seems to be a lot of focus on. It seems to be a lot of it is aimed at girls, young girls, etc. You never really think about. Well, I've never ever thought about it, to be honest. It impacting new fathers. I've never thought about it.
Do you know, Nick, it's a good point. So young fathers, Mental Health Foundation did a report. Up to 39% of new dads, this is 2018, wanted support for their mental health. 34% are not with their child full time. NCT did a report. Up to 38% of dads were concerned about their mental health. 73% of those fathers were more concerned about their partner's mental health. Movember, I've just did a report on fathers and social connections. And they said 1 in 5 British fathers lost total connections with their best friends during the first year of fatherhood as well. Isolation, everything we associated with COVID now, isolation. A lot of fathers, especially if they're going through depression or anxiety or depression, they feel totally isolated because it is, you know, it's a problem that when you think it's a 50-50 problem, and it's impacted on both parents really, but only 99% of support is aimed for mum. And we got to remember same gender parents as well. You know, that's a different area where they're not getting that support either. And I think everyone should be entitled to that same support, regardless of gender. That's the only way we're going to have a massive shift, which is, I always say, supporting all new parents for their mental health has far better outcomes of the whole family and that child's development, you know, so massively.
And just coming towards the end now, but coming back to business and companies, and you know, I'm making this video as, you know, or making this session with you as, you know, as a CEO of a recruitment company, and you know, we're dealing with people every single day, and I wonder what damage to the economy in general, but I also then wonder how leaders and the HR professionals and the health and safety professionals, etc., what should they be looking for, and what could they be doing to support these fathers? Because obviously when the wife has the baby, the flowers go, you know, I'm just thinking of my own wife, you know, 3 children, there was lots of flowers going to her. I don't remember getting any bouquets of flowers, that's for sure. But you know, what should leaders of companies, you know, I'll come in from another angle. We work with a lot of tech. We're in the tech world, so we work with fast-moving, fast-growing companies where people are coming in and expected to do their job, and it's, you know, it's full on. But what should leaders and HR professionals and health and safety professionals be looking out for when they know that you know, maybe a young dad's in amongst their workforce?
Yeah, definitely. You know, when you come back into work, you know, having a conversation, if we can educate, this is the one area I'm looking to go into more, because I've been doing a lot of consultancy with the NHS and different maternity services now, but I'm feeling there's a huge gap in the workplace. You know, I think some of the figures, the cost of mental health in the workplace is gosh, it's through the roof, isn't it? But you know,
you know what the cost is? It's in that report, but I can't actually remember the number now.
gosh, I know. I have put in there. I can't think of the figures.
I just remember going, oh, like that, because it was huge.
Yeah. The economic cost in general is huge, definitely. But the thing is, what I was looking at, I said, okay, maternity services are starting to look at that. But if dad is back in work, we know about mental health first aid, which doesn't go into the depth as well, around fatherhood. It's a really good course. It's got a good understanding, but it doesn't go into the more depth stuff. So like perinatal mental health with dad's coming back into work. Bonding, attachment, education, how to engage, those sorts of things as well. So employers can look out for this and educate them. So when they go back to work, obviously they can interlink with their services as well. Yeah. OC Health, is it OC Health up in Scotland? They call it OC Health, or they may have counselling services within that organisation, and that could be enough. But also with the education behind it, how to engage and with the baby and all sorts of things, that can improve the dad's mental health, because now that will have a stronger bond and attachment with the baby as well, which is vital. Because unfortunately, some of the stuff, dad may never, may struggle for a while and lose those connections with his baby. So it's about educating the employers and create pathways for employers, so then they can get that support for new dads as well, or dads to be as well. So that's what the aim I'm trying to do is help employers to create the pathways to get that. They may not get the specialist support yet, but they can certainly get really good support rather than general mental health support.
But if people are interested in looking at this, so HR professionals, for instance, if they're interested in looking at this, they can reach out to you. I'll put your links in, but they can reach out to you and talk to you about obviously how to connect, how to pull pathways together, etc., as you're talking about.
Oh, Nick, it's a good point. I just remember something actually. People can Google Fords and new dads. Fords were going to do it in Germany. I was trying to do it in Bridgend, unfortunately, that's closing. But they were going to use the mental health first aid, which is great. It's good understanding. But like you said, we can go more in depth to this stuff, because it is a specialized area. And with the people, we can create the pathways a lot better for around the perinatal period, if that makes sense as well. So definitely. But like I said, it's just educating the fathers that they can struggle during this time for various reasons, in fact, as well.
Yeah, it's been the hour has rushed by, to be honest. I mean, it's absolutely rushed by.
I'm enjoying it. It's gone quick. Thanks. Yeah, Nick, I want to thank you for taking the opportunity as well, giving me the chance to share this awareness in the workplace, because I am doing a lot of work in the workplace. There's an article on MAD Summit Workplace. I did an article. So there's certainly an area I'm going to be looking at over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and if you share these links with me, you mentioned you did something for the Guardian last week. What was that?
Yeah, so I did a video with the Guardian. It's called Guardian Dads in Lockdown. Iman, the journalist, is, and there's a little 30-minute video on there as well. So it just explains what the work I'm trying to do as well. So done a couple of pieces on different articles, but it's a nice video. Obviously with a TEDx talk, that's like 30 minutes video. So it's little things we can share with the employers as well, so they realise they're not the only ones struggling doing fatherhood.
Yeah, well, I think also right now, I mean, I look at our customers and I look at HR professionals with inside those customers, and they've got their hands full just now as it is. They're trying to manage a workforce that's remote. They're trying to hire in new bodies. They maybe have the sad job of letting people go, etc. And their job is full on. But I wonder how many of them even think imagine this is a problem, to be honest, because as I say, I've hardly ever talked about it until I met you, and then I started looking into it, and then I realized how big a problem it was. But if we can, I suppose if we can help our customers by making them aware of you and the things that that and can do, then I think we're doing a service to our customers, basically. So I want to make sure this gets out there, because it's having read now quite a lot, it's a pretty vital subject, to be honest. But Mark, We could spend ages now talking about rugby. I mean, obviously Wales.
I know. We won't mention the rugby, Nick. Don't mention the rugby.
I live in Scotland. We've already beaten them. We've already beaten the English. Sorry to all my English customers. We've beaten Ireland. We've beaten Italy. It's just the French.
I know. Yeah, so that's why I'm smiling a lot more recently. So no, it's good. And I like sport. That brings a lot of people together, especially as you know in different countries. And it's good. So
the good thing is we follow a sport where everybody loves everybody else. Yeah, doesn't matter what nation you're from. We love everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend, and we'll be looking forward to those links you can send through, and then when we distribute this session, everybody will get the links as well.
And when I'm up in Scotland, we'll have a catch up again.
We'll definitely have a beer. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, buddy.
Take care, Nick. Thank you.